Welcome to the Bright Insight podcast. This is a weekly show provided by Brightside Security Lab. We're talking about updates on security regulations, requirements, and perspectives on the current cybersecurity developments. Security is becoming more widely used and important at home, work, school, or in your personal life. Think about GDPR and the Cybersecurity Act. Cybersecurity is a shared responsibility. The more systems we secure, the more secure we all are. Thank you for listening to Bright Insight.
Hi, welcome to this episode of Bright Insight. So today we have our guest Carlos Serratos, who is working in our CTO office. I'll let him introduce himself. Carlos, can you tell us about yourself and what you do in Brightside?
Yes, Kai. Hey, thanks for having me here today. I'm Senior Director of Strategy, Advocacy, and Policy at Brightside. And basically what it means, working with the industry in general, policymakers, and effectively doing the translation between business, legal, compliance requirements, as well to find ways to communicate to the market the benefits of security and security evolutions in general.
Great, and congratulate on your new elected role as board member in Eurosmart. Is that something we can share?
Yes, thanks, Guy. Indeed, the role we have there, we are representing the TIC community, the testing and certification houses in Europe. And Eurosmart is a very important association in Europe. It's perhaps the most important association for the security domain. And we're very happy to be there, not only representing the TIC community, but engaging with all the security ecosystem, helping to address the needs in Europe.
Great. And this episode, our main topic is about Cybersecurity Act. So it's a huge topic, we know, but we try to discuss it or introduce it in a very concise way. And of course, if the audience has any questions, they can always contact us to ask more, or we can prepare more material if you are interested in. The first question will be, what is Cybersecurity Act and what is its impact on our life as consumer, general public, or developers?
That's a great subject. And that's one of my favorite subjects. The Cybersecurity Act has a very interesting story. And at some point of time, there was a big discussion about how do we identify products which are secure. As a consumer, as a business, you would like to identify what kind of products you are acquiring, in general, from all the functionalities and capabilities of the product. So cybersecurity is not that different. And then there was this question, how do we know when a developer or manufacturer is doing due diligence, using best practices on their products to make them secure? So that's how over time, we evolved to this idea of having specific certification frameworks that will apply to different product types, and not just devices, also to processes and services. That will allow us to identify, as consumers, as business, the different characteristics of each of those different services, products, devices that we use day by day.
Okay, great. And what is the most important change in the way people or developers develop their products? Is there any certification or evaluation requirements that's in the frame of Cybersecurity Act?
The Cybersecurity Act is a piece of legislation that establishes the principle of the creation of different frameworks, and is really up to the different sectors to define those frameworks. For example, at this moment, the Commission is working with two programs. One of them is called the EUCC, or Applicability of Common Criteria for Europe, and the other is for cloud services. And those are just a couple of examples of how we are generating certification frameworks for specific needs. Common criteria is very popular, very well known in the high-end security domain. You will apply it for products on a high risk, high security functionality, like, for example, could be a national ID or a passport. And what happened here is that we have guidance towards the developers on what is expected in terms of security functionality and how this will be evaluated in a way that is reproducible and shows evidence of compliance for the different sectors.
Yeah, I think one very important aspect of Cybersecurity Act is that we recognize that there are more and more connected devices that are used by the general public that can be easily break or hack due to their connectivities, and it's really to set also the basic security or general practice or good practice for the minimal security for the products. And that's one very big part of Cybersecurity Act. And you just mentioned about common criteria. In the future, we'll have episodes on talking about common criteria, but also common criteria in an older sense, or the international sense in CCRA, or in the future sense within the Cybersecurity Act about the EUCC. So that will be a very interesting topic, and we'll also ask Carlos to come back and tell us more about that. So what will your advice for the developers at this moment? When will Cybersecurity Act become a reality, or become really real, or be enforced? And what should the developers do now?
Well, the Cybersecurity Act, in all fairness, is already enforced. It's ongoing. And the EUCC is likely to be the first framework coming from the Cybersecurity Act that will be implemented. Don't quote me here. This is me just guessing. Somewhere around the summer 2021, we will see the enforcement of the EUCC. The transition period will start, which means that we will continue using CC as it is today for a couple of years, and then we will do the switch to the EUCC. There is a document from the Commission. It's called the Union Rolling Working Plan, and the idea of the Commission is to create new frameworks in this year. We're talking about industrial automation control systems. We are talking about IoT devices, and we are talking about 5G as well. And with regards to 5G, the Commission has made the official request to ENISA to start working on this framework. Which means now ENISA is looking into what will be in the scope, what will be the parties on the ad hoc group, and that will be the next framework that we will see in development according to the Cybersecurity Act.
Yeah, I guess in each of the framework there will be some kind of scheme having requirements or security requirements for the products within that framework. For example, 5G and IoT devices. And actually, a lot of developers, I think, they are not yet thinking about security or not building security in their product. So will your advice for them be contacting your local lab or Brightside to really understand what they need to prepare to be able to sell their product when the framework kicks in?
I think that's a very important point, Kai, because, look, in one hand, we have a Cybersecurity Act defining the frameworks. And in the other hand, we have different sectors, different verticals. And again, this is independently from the Cybersecurity Act, looking to have the evidence of security functionality. What would be advisable for a developer? Definitely, show evidence that you bring the basic elements of security. Of course, if you have on top of it a third party looking into your security evidence and having a third party evaluation, that brings a complete different level of value to the statement of the security capabilities that you claim in your products. If you're a developer of silicon, if you're a developer of software components, obviously there is a value also when you have evidence of that security functionality. So that will make easier for your customers, for the developers of the products, to identify the right piece of equipment, the right component for their specific use cases. You know, there is a lot about state-of-the-art in the different legislations. Well, state-of-the-art doesn't mean the greatest or the latest. State-of-the-art means fit for purpose, proportional to the risk. So from that mere perspective, it's very important to give visibility to the developers of the products, what kind of functionality comes in the product, what is the strength, so they can decide what is the right fit for purpose, what is the right the technology for my specific use case. And that's the real value, having that security evidence.
Great, and thank you for the explanation on Cybersecurity Act. And I know we only touch upon the service of this legislation, but in the future we'll have more in-depth or in a certain segment discussion on this or the impact of Cybersecurity Act on our day-to-day life or on the developers of secure products. Thank you very much today for this with high dynamic conversation. Hope to see you in the future episode.
Thanks, Kai.
Thank you for listening to Bright Insight. In the next episodes, we will cover different topics such as the EU Cybersecurity Act, the business case of security evaluations, common criteria, SASIP, IoT, and software-based security. Stay tuned and subscribe on brightside.com.